Here we go. This is how we graph equations that are already in the slope-intercept form. Because you know what the y-intercept is, you should be able to look at it and go, you know what? The y-intercept is positive 3. And what that means is that we go to where the y-axis is. This y-axis is the vertical axis running up and down. And we look to see where positive 3 is on the y-axis. Since this is the y-intercept, we have to use the y-axis. So positive 3 is found right here. There we go. Now, the next thing that we have to do is we have to use the slope. And the slope in this case we know is positive 2. It's always right in front of that x there. We know another nickname for slope, and that's usually known as rise over the run. And look, I know it's new to you, but we need to make sure that you're familiar with it. Since this slope is not a fraction, we're going to put it down here and make it into a fraction. That means that this 2 is the rise number and that this 1 is the run number. Now, if you can remember this, the rise means that you could rise up, but what goes up must come down. And the run, I can't run up and down. I can only run left and right. So there are options on here. And what we do is we look at these number signs to see about the options to see whether it goes up or down. If it's positive, it goes up 2. If it was negative, it would go down 2. This one, if it's positive, it goes to the right 2. If it was a negative, I'm sorry, it would go right 1. If it was negative, it would go left 1. And you'll see what's happening as we go and we do several of these. So the first thing that you do when we graph these is we steal the y-intercept, it was positive 3, and we make the dot right there on the y-axis wherever that number says it should be. The next thing is we take the slope, in this case it was a 2, and if it's not a fraction, make it into a fraction. The top number, we look at it quickly and we go, is it positive or negative? Since it's positive, it would go up 2. And since the bottom number is positive, that means it would go to the right 1. So now we go up 2 and to the right 1. Well, that's a horrible line right there, so let me just go and get a straight line tool here. There we go. And that's what it would be doing. We made a line through these 2 points. Let's go through and let's do this one. What is my y-intercept? The y-intercept is negative 2. So this negative 2 is my starting point. I come down to my y-axis and I make a negative 2. What's my slope? Well, my slope is 4. It's not a fraction, so let's make it into a fraction. This is my rise number. This is my run number. The rise can go up or down. If it's positive, it goes up. So that means it's going to go up 4. My run number, if it's positive, it goes to the right. If it was a negative 1 on the bottom for the run, it would go left. So now that I know my slope and how it's going to move, I can go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. Well, hang on. There we go. There. And we're able to draw the line that's created by this equation. So let's go try this one. Y equals 1/4 x. What's my y-intercept? Well, hopefully, I've already gone over it in class that there's nothing behind it, and that would be the same as 0. So that means that my y-intercept is 0. And so that's the trick right there. The slope, it's a lot easier this time. It's already a fraction. So stop and think about it. The top number is your rise. The bottom number is your run. Since it's positive, I go up. Since it's positive on the bottom, I go to the right. So we would go up 1 and to the right 4. Put the new spot, and we're good to go. Now this is just the basics of graphing, okay? It's just the basics. And let's see, let's do this one right here. What would the y-intercept be? It would be 0 again, so my y-intercept would be 0. What would my slope be? Well, it's the same as if it was negative 1. It's not a fraction, so we make it into a fraction. And the rise, this is a negative, so that means I would go down. How many? 1. And the run is positive, so we would go to the right. So let's see. The y-intercept is at 0 right here. My slope is negative 1 for the rise, so we go down 1 and then to the right 1. Okay, that should be enough to get us started. We'll talk about patterns and a few other little tricky things that happen in the next lesson, but that's the basics of graphing with the slope and the y-intercept.